It takes a lot to look at your life and say, not only that you want to change, but that the fact that you are where you are is solely because of the choices you've made. And you can make choices to now change who you are moving forward.
All right, it is Q1 of 2024. That means new goals, more growth, and upgrading your day-to-day workflow. That's why I want to talk to you today about the HubSpot Sales Hub. This thing is basically an all-in-one platform to help you get out of that muck of scheduling everything manually, digging through data, tracking down leads, probably not following up with things. Sales Hub will flip everything on its head. This thing's an easy-to-use suite of powerful tools. It's going to help you convert contacts into customers quicker, accelerate sales with smart sequences, manage deals with simple and powerful tools, and help you forecast a lot smarter. It actually uses this new AI-powered app called ChatSpot. It combines ChatGPT with HubSpot's smart CRM. Basically, you can ask this thing to create more revenue for you and deliver it as well. So you can ask it to track down contacts, competitors, summarize sales, and actually draft emails for you. So now's the time to close more deals and get on track. Make Q1 your best yet. Explore the new HubSpot Sales Hub and AI tools like ChatSpot at HubSpot.com/sales. Boys, we got an episode that we've been talking about for a long time, and we've been jamming for over a year now, Trev and Mike, and now we're finally coming together as the gang on here. I've had you individually on the podcast, Hustle and Flowchart. Trev, I think you first, then Mike, and we talked about kind of your individual journey. So I feel like we don't really need to go deep on those. We could just point people to those episodes. So just wanted to say that out the gate is like, those will all be linked up in the show notes, description, wherever you're at. But yeah, like the three of us have been collaborating also with other men, doing some really cool stuff with your brand at Extremely Conscious. And shoot, I mean, we've seen massive changes over this last, 18 months or something like that now. And finally bringing the crew together, at least some of the core crew here, to talk about, I guess, what that means to us, like how that's reflected into our lives, our businesses, and also some of the cool stuff that you guys are primarily charging and heading up in terms of, like smaller group with select men who are willing to challenge themselves and go deeper on these concepts. So I don't know, either Trev, I'm just going to pick on you. You did the nod before. So what do you got to say on that?
Oh, man. Honestly, the first thing that comes to mind is every time I think that I got all of this stuff figured out and I know exactly the direction that I'm going in, the universe gives me a big old slap, sets me on my ass, says, you're going to rest for a little bit. I resist it. And then something beautiful comes out the other side. So, man, it's been quite a journey, hasn't it? I know. I was just thinking about, it's only been just over a year ago when we all said that we would show up and commit to showing up every single day, which took the shape of just checking in on a WhatsApp group. And we kind of made it up as we went. We just knew that we wanted to have higher vibe conversations. We were all committed to being better versions of ourselves. And we said, let's go figure out what this thing looks like. And it was messy along the way. And it still is, we're all leading busy lives and running businesses and families and managing finances and trying to figure out the meaning of life and all the big questions. And yeah, so this is exciting, man, though, to just be able to jam with you guys, because I know we have so many incredible behind the scenes conversations, and now it's time to put some of this stuff out into the world.
Yeah, and I'll put some context there before I kick it over to you, Mr. Prince, is so you referenced some things there, Trev, and Trevor and I know each other from the marketing world, business entrepreneur world from years ago. I think you were on the podcast, I don't know, like 5 years ago or something like that. So talk about LinkedIn strategies and all that cool shit. So you still do that, which is cool. But what we're talking about here is now specifically, we've had a men's group, but I don't want to seclude this to just men. This is a conversation for all. There happens to be a lot of men who listen. So I thought that's why it was important to bring you guys in here into the fold and show like, hey, here's like one of the bigger purposes behind this show that's evolved, especially over this last 18 months, but even before that, was to show like, hey, like we're all driven, busy people. We have a lot of responsibilities and commitments, and men and women have different roles typically, you know, but like we have different things that we're focused on and responsibilities individually. And, you know, like to know that you're not alone, I think is a big piece for anyone who's driven, someone that feels like it's all or nothing. You know, the thought of mental health comes up a lot too, because there's a lot of statistics of entrepreneurs or just like honestly men in our age demographic. Suicide rates are up, like shit's stressful, financial, whatever it might be out in the world. The idea is that you're not alone. You know, like I want to talk about more of these things on this podcast. That's what you see with other guests I brought on, and also with us, the three of us. I think we're going to have more of these conversations with the three and maybe even additional guests with us to dive into some of these concepts that empower not just men, but driven people, and, you know, could be a little bit more entrepreneurial focused, but driven at the end of the day, where it keeps us in the game longer and not feeling burnt out, stressed out, you know, dark places. So Trev, you mentioned this whole like basically habit tracking is what we started with when you referenced the spreadsheet and checking in. Like we basically are accountable to each other and ourselves for, I mean, shit, a year at least. You know, now we've kind of reshaped some things, but that's totally reshaped, I think, all of us in different ways. I think that's kind of what you're referencing. I just wanted to put that out there before I spun it to Mike, but anything left there, Trev? Yeah.
No, for sure. And I think just referencing the word extreme again, because I know that's kind of the context and the frame that we wanted to be talking about. It was extreme for me to commit to a daily practice and checking in on a spreadsheet and checking boxes. And that was the reason I did it. You know, I was like, I want to create change. So I'm going to jump both feet off the cliff and figure it out along the way. And then ultimately, you know, the thing that brought Mike and I together was, man, it'd be sure nice to do this with somebody else. And then ultimately what brought you into the circle, Joe, was, man, it sure be nice to do this with even more people. I wonder who else would show up if we put a little bit of structure to what we're doing and kind of take a messy stab at figuring out how this could actually serve us in all aspects of our life. So that's what comes to mind when I think about the start of this journey, and now it's evolved to where it looks completely different, right? But still challenging and exciting and messy all at the same time.
Super messy all the time. That's life, baby. Yeah, and so you and Mike used to be neighbors in Canada, and now you have, well, neither of you are living in that same neighborhood. I'll just say that. But Mike, like, I mean, dude, I look at you and I've learned so much over this last year when it comes to presence and, well, breath work is, I know, a big core of that. I've not dove into an ice bath over this last year yet. Colder water I have in San Diego. That's a little tough. Just got to get my ass into an actual bath. But you, like, I look at you as like, man, you've gone deep into this changing of vibe and like slowing down. I mean, as a professional athlete, you know, you've been in the extremes and all over places, you know, and talk about a little bit of what this last year has been and where you can see it shaping up here.
Massive changes for sure. You know, I lived in a world where I was always searching for that next exciting thing, where extreme to me was traveling the world, doing shows, pushing my limits, and not always in smart ways. But I always felt uneasy not doing something and looking for that edge. And the shift that's really happened the truth in that is that I wasn't comfortable and happy with myself. So I was always looking for external to find that. And I needed to be surrounded by people all the time. And they weren't necessarily the people that were chasing the things that I truly desired, but more so what could create a high at that time. Right. And so it really started to unfold where, you know, when Trev and I talk about how we came to be as friends and business partners, is ultimately we were both searching for something that we didn't know what it was. We just had a feeling in our gut that as high performers, what we were creating externally wasn't fulfilling enough. And we knew there had to be other men and humans in this world that felt the same way. And so for me, in my process of slowing down and really finding myself, my true self, my authentic self, it's been wild because it hasn't only changed me, it's changed my relationship with my wife, my relationship with my kids, who I am in my corporate world, and then of course what Trev and I create and the beautiful balance that him and I have created, and that the three of us create in you know, how we impact the world. And so it's wild, but presence is now my exciting place. You know, being able to offer that to the people that I am around and surround myself with. I no longer need to be around people. I'm quite content with me. And so part of our mission is, you know, is looking out at all these other individuals that are on that same race that we were, right? And showing them that the magic is actually in the slowdown, but that we can truly still have the business success, but also the presence with our kids, in our family, in our business, and in those we do business with. So that's been the really neat kind of 360 that I've been able to see.
Well, that's where I'm hearing impact from both of you. And I know that's been a conversation we've had, is like, how do we expand this from just, like you said, the two of you to start with this idea? I think you guys hiked a mountain. There was a video for proof. And, you know, and now that was taken into a small group, an inner circle that was like 5 to 7 of us. It kind of fluctuated or so over this last year. And then now you have an additional group, and then this Better Man community, which is men focused. But again, you know, like I feel like there's definitely a place for women as well in this whole conversation, and a place, don't know where it is yet on Facebook or a community, but at least for the Better Men community, like you can find that on Facebook as a free place. And there's like a few hundred or so in there right now that are super active, doing challenges. We've talked about the Sally Up thing. I've talked about it here on my show. And you did it for like, it was like 15 days or something straight?
We did 18 days. 18? Yeah, we had 37 men show up the first day, and all doing push-ups, and it was incredible to see how it unfolded, because of course it became about so much more than the actual physical push-ups themselves, as people started to bring their kids in and talk about how important it was that even when they were tired, they were showing up for not only themselves, but supporting others in the community. And so that's kind of what we try to do with these little movements. And you nailed it. There is a much grander vision that will include women, and we've talked about people that want to influence, you know, the teenager ages, because we know those are when big decisions are made. So it's just, men has been our starting point, because simply it's what we relate with on our journey in our own skin, right?
Yeah.
And so that's why it's been the starting point for us.
Yeah, I'm excited. And Trev, I mean, you have this, like, I feel like you're the mastermind of like the flow charts and how all this stuff can come to be. And I've seen where the vision is, and I'm like, holy shit, this excites me. And obviously it's like not all of it has come to fruition yet, but it's getting there, and it's happening quick. And when it's something like this, I mean, you're dealing with humans, right? You're dealing with some of the most ingrained patterns that we all have as men, but also humans, you know, and just speaking of men again, I'm just always prefacing this as where it's been, but extremely conscious as a brand. I mean, extremelyconscious.com, you can check out, there's like a whole on, like, here are all the facets of wealth in your life and how you might currently be showing up, but also it's like, is that really what you see for yourself? Like, what's the shift that gets to happen to achieve each one of those things? And like, the vision's massive, and it's so exciting. And that's where I'm like, this is the first of many chats, and like, you know, not everything will come out here in this chat. So.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing. I think going back to the word extreme, like I mentioned it when we did our closing out video from our Costa Rica retreat, that, you know, when we hear the word extreme, we think of Mike Prince flying in the air with some jet boots on, you know? We think jumping off of waterfalls, jumping out of planes, running with the bulls, that type of thing. But what we just did with the Facebook group and that challenge, the Sally Up challenge for 18 days, proved once again to us that extreme to any person can just simply be showing up and saying, I have an intention to be a better version of myself, and just stepping into the room. And then the next level of extreme is to then say, I'm going to do a bunch of push-ups with a whole bunch of guys, where I'm doing 5 to start, And some guys are already finished this whole thing. And then another layer is actually recording yourself doing it. And then another layer is recording yourself live doing it. And not everybody did that, just to be clear. But I think that's the whole point, though, is that when we think, I think what's evolved for us over time is that the definition of extreme in different aspects of our life, whether it's our relationships, our physical health, our finances, our questioning of like our purpose and our why, everybody's at a different stage of the journey, and there is layers to extreme. And what we want to do ultimately is meet everybody where they are. And then also the three of us recognize that we've elevated to a certain level, but this game's not over. Like, we're still playing. So where can we go now? What's possible? And that's the excitement that you're talking about, I think, Joe, because when we get jamming about like, what is actually possible here, not only in our lives, but the impact that we can create on others and in the world, man, it gives me a drive to get up every single day and go, yep, this is it. This is what keeps me moving. I want to find a way to tie this into everything that I do and to connect with people like you guys consistently, like not just at a retreat, but on a daily basis.
It's got to be daily.
Yeah, through a breathwork session, through a connection point of a call where a question is asked that allows you to say something out loud that you've maybe never said to anybody before. It completely unlocks a person's perspective on what's possible. And it's intimidating as hell the first time you do it, which is why, our vision and our goal here is to create enough layers of entry points for people, like you were saying, Joe, extremely conscious. Like, we've got a guide. There's a 57-page guide. If you're just at the stage where you just want to see, like, what the hell are these guys up to? Go read the guide. It's completely free. It'll give you a sense of like what we've been doing. And also, we're honest in there. Like, we're not saying that all of a sudden we woke up one day and we were extremely conscious. It's like, no, man, we were all completely sleeping in our lives. In some cases it was abusing drugs and alcohol. In other cases, it was just workaholism. People in our lives were impacted by it, but mostly us, right? We were only hurting ourselves until we woke up and realized, like, man, there's a better way to go about this. And that's why we're doing these chats right now, right? It's like, we don't even know what's possible, but let's just start talking it out loud, because that's how this stuff manifests, right?
And I've had a lot of people reach out to me with the solo episodes I put out, some of those that we did together individually. But that's where I was like, okay, I'm being called with my podcast here to elevate this with the impact in mind. And start to speak about what are these, like, what's possible, and integrate other voices into this, but also give action steps, like specific ways to get the ball moving, because some of us just might feel stuck, or you just don't know where to start. You don't have a community around you. So I like some action steps right here that just come to mind are extremelyconscious.com. Is that where the guide, they can pick it up?
Yeah, you can find that. Yeah. Everything's linked up on that website. So you can go to the website, and the Facebook groups there, Beautiful. The guides there, the programs that we're running, all of it. Yeah. All of this stuff that we're doing, it'll be linked up there.
Hey, I'm going to pause this really fast and shout out another podcast that's on the HubSpot Podcast Network, the audio destination for business professionals. This one's a podcast hosted by someone I've followed for years. I've read his books. His name is Donald Miller, and he hosts the podcast called Business Made Simple. The whole premise there with that show is that it helps take the mystery out of growing your business. And one of the recent episodes is one with Alex Hermosi, someone else I've followed for years now. And it's all about talking about the uncertainties that we're living in right now in 2024 and beyond, but how we can take our business and shore it up. There's actually 4 principles Alex shares, and Don gets into it as well. So definitely recommend checking that out. So go listen to Business Made Simple, hosted by Donald Miller, wherever you get your podcasts. Hey, I want to tell you about an all-in-one marketing platform that's been a game changer for a bunch of businesses. It's called Kartra, and it's the all-in-one tool that you need to grow. So the point is, you don't need to pay for a whole bunch of different subscriptions, because Kartra does it all. So what makes Kartra different is that you can automate everything. Everything from delivering your online courses, sending targeted emails, selling products, and even handling your customer support. So all in all, it's saving you time and a bunch of money. And right now, you can try it out for 30 days. Just head over to hustleandflowchart.com/Kartra and go get that free trial. Again, that is hustleandflowchart.com/KARTRA. And one of the things I would suggest is the habit tracking. And I think that's like once you get into the Facebook group, right? It's like that's what changed the game for obviously all of us, but I can only speak for myself. But it's like that those consistent things. Some of them you're just like, oh yeah, okay, I'm gonna drink 4 jugs of water every day. You know, like some of these, which this is my new sticker now. Slow yourself down, right?
Down.
Yes.
It's from Hanalei, and there's a cool store in Kauai out there. I wanted to buy everything in that store, but like that's extreme for me. Is like, phew, slow it down and see things a little clearer. But at the same time, habits and these consistent things, it doesn't have to be extreme in nature, but it could just be drinking enough water or getting enough sleep, stop working at a certain time, whatever that thing is for you that you want to consistently do, knowing that there's stuff that will develop because of your actions now.
Yeah, it's all tied together, right? And as Trev said, that's why there's so many different entry levels to what it is, because everybody's at a different place. And you know, when we look at old versions of ourselves and we talk about alcohol abuse and workaholism, right? There's extreme introspection and the willingness to look at yourself and look in the darker places that not everybody's so proud of, to reach into and heal those parts and process those parts and make room for more, right? And that's another layer to extreme in what we're doing, is radical responsibility for where people are currently at in their lives. It takes a lot to look at your life and say, not only that you want to change, but that the fact that you are where you are is solely because of the choices you've made. And you can make choices to now change who you are moving forward.
Mike, where do you think you would have been if you kept on the same path?
Ultimately, I would weigh a few more pounds. I would not be as close to as good of a dad that I am, or a husband. There's no way. My patience level was not there. I was selfish. You know, I had a much bigger ego, and I was constantly defensive of who I was. And so, and I was chasing the wrong things. I was chasing what everybody chases. You know, the shiny things, the homes, the money, and ultimately all of that. Yeah, money's a driver. We know that it's important, but the rest is shallow and empty. And, you know, ultimately I think I would have been a very externally happy, as I've always been, and positive, but inside a hell of a lot lonelier, less excited about my life, and not creating impact, because I couldn't even change who I was at the time before these decisions were made. So
yeah, it's funny you pull up that cup, Joe, because that's one of the things that I think both Mike and I aligned on over the last couple of weeks, even as we were exiting that challenge that we just did recently in February. And there was just so much excitement and motivation and momentum and everything. And then both Mike and I got knocked down hard physically, just with, you know, body aches and chills and flu symptoms and everything else. And Joe bolted off to Hawaii, and we were like, damn, man, like we need to be pushing right now. Like we were even saying to each other, but I know even me personally, I was like, man, we need to keep going. We need to keep going. And it took us a couple of weeks of trying to push through the pain before we recognized that, like, man, this is the lesson that's here for us right now. And absolutely, Joe's showing it to us. Joe's modeling it for us right now. Look at what happens when you just completely disconnect. And that doesn't mean to absolve yourself of responsibility, because you were still taking care of yourself, but you were just focused in on one particular area of your life, which was connection with family and self and reflection and seeing, like, what does this next phase of the journey look like? And that's why I say at the start of this, you know, like every time I think we have this stuff all figured out, the universe just gives us a good old kick in the butt and says, no, you're gonna slow down now. And it's happened repeatedly, hasn't it, Mike? Like, it's not like this is the first time that we've thought that we had it all figured out, and then we went in a completely different direction.
We had to tear everything down and rebuild from
That's
a
life,
more
baby.
conscious place, you know?
So Trev, like, to dive deeper into you, because I am genuinely curious, like, where do you think you would find yourself? Like, let's say this time if you were to go through that whole extremely conscious route that we all chose to do for like a good year?
Well, I think very similar to what Mike was saying, you know, I think I was almost oblivious to what was possible back then. I didn't think that I had anything wrong with my life. Everything on the surface seemed pretty darn good, you know. I wasn't in terrible shape. I wasn't a full-blown alcoholic drinking 26 of whiskey a night, but I was having more drinks than I should have been. And it took 2 or 3 years later where I look back on that and I was like, holy man, look at that version of myself. You know, that version of myself was malnutritioned, drinking a few too many drinks, not getting enough sleep, not present in his conversations, not fully actualizing his potential. And I think the thing that's hit me the most even recently is that when I finally woke up to it and then I made the change, I got hit with another aspect of it, which is the guilt that we put on ourselves to say, why the hell didn't you do this 5 years ago, 10 years ago? And then being able to reflect and go, because you wouldn't be here right now if it wasn't for that experience. So be grateful for it. So here you are right now, and look at how much further ahead you are with this awareness now. And that's where I think the excitement of present moment comes in. And what you keep referencing, Joe, is imagine what we can create with this clarity and with this presence and with this way of being, because it really does. You're talking about the foundations, Joe, you know, like we went and did it and proved it. That's why we did the habit tracker, is like, I wonder if a habit tracker will actually help us. And then we kind of painfully went through it. It's like, Jesus, I got to check in with these guys every day and I got to listen to what they have to say. And then eventually you start to actually really enjoy it. It becomes addicting. And then all of a sudden your way of being changes. So who would I be, man? I'd be just blindly walking through this world thinking that everything's perfect. And I'm sure pieces around me would have fallen apart all over the place. My marriage, my relationship with my kids, I just might not have seen it for 10 years.
Good point, man. And I'll say my piece. I don't have a perfect answer, but it's like nothing is perfect. But it's similar to both of what you said, and in what you said, Trev. There, like you don't see the writing on the wall. For one, like it's a mirror. Like, you know, the more I tracked throughout the year and reflected, because we did have these WhatsApp channels where we were basically checking in on the daily with each other, and it wasn't with the expectation we'd get feedback, but occasionally. But just the fact of putting it out there and being honest, is as honest as you're able to do in that period. Just like I kind of put you on the spot right here for the podcast. It's like, hey, let's be vulnerable straight off the cuff, you know? But that I saw what that changed in me, and, you know, just simple little micro actions. I was becoming more aware of, I was conscious of these micro actions. I wasn't going through my day blindly. If I didn't go through that, like, yeah, it would be a lot of unconsciousness, just kind of going through my day, probably a lot more workaholicism, like you guys both mentioned, probably a lot less presence with my family, especially now with a 3-month-old, almost 4-month-old. Like, I wouldn't have been prepared for her. I know that. Mm-hmm. And now that I am, because it's interesting, I have a 4.5-year-old as well. Prior to that, I saw myself, I was coming out of my dad's, suicide of himself at that same point. So there was a lot of anger built up in me. I think that would have probably increased, or at least like I was able to I think if I didn't go through and understand myself, that anger piece would also be there as well. Maybe distant from others, and my wife included. So like just knowing that, like, the dark places that I have, but also the light places, and being conscious of both, and being very deliberate with how I choose to show up in all fields. And it's not perfect, but over this past year, we definitely shined a light in a whole bunch of dark places, and not only kept them to ourselves, but we shared them and put them out there with each other.
I think it's really powerful what you said there too, right? Is a lot of people, when we look at these darker places of ourselves, want to eradicate them, right? And get frustrated with them. But what you just said there is observing and understanding them and having a relationship with them. There's no shame in these other parts of us, right? It's really creating that relationship with them so that you can understand them, you can move forward, and you can balance it into your life and really integrate all of your parts into your life in a different way.
I'd say that's like a nice little bow on this whole thing, is that it's integration, and it's with the purpose of like, hey, you may or may not have a vision, even us included, it changes over time, but those watching and listening, it's like, that vision, that might not even feel clear, and that's okay, but like that starts to develop the more you start integrating these ways of being, your light side, your dark side, because it's okay. And as long as you're okay with yourself and you put yourself out there, it's okay to be selfish. That's what I've learned, and I feel like the more selfish you are, the better decisions you make, clarity, and the right things will attract to you. So you could show up as that better parent, partner, entrepreneur, leader in business, wherever you choose to be driven in your life. Now you're this upgraded beast, however you want to show up. And you just got to jump in and try it. So, Trev, maybe Trev and Mike, whoever wants to go first, some final thoughts before we, end this one, but know that there's more coming.
Yeah, I got a thought that comes to mind here. I think it's a Chris Williamson video. I don't think he actually came up with the quote, but he talks about that lonely phase. And I think even though we do meet all guys and humans in general as we continue to evolve this extremely conscious movement, we meet them all exactly where they are. For some people, it's just waking up from like, man, your life is comfortable right now, but if you stay down this path in 10 years, it's not going to be comfortable, right? And I always refer, like, I'm in Mexico right now, so I see this daily. I see the people that come in for a week. They plop down on the beach chair and drink margaritas and go, I got to go on a diet when I go back. Like, that's fun for a week, but you keep doing that for another 10 years, and that catches up to you really fast. So we meet people that are there, but I think mostly the people that we have been attracting are the ones that have woken up to that and go, man, you know what? I think there is more to this. Like, I think I can become a better version of myself. And when you do that and you start leaning into this, the work, the conversations, the ways of being, it's lonely. Like, and you feel like you need to one-man wolf show it, right? You got to do it all yourself, and you can't talk about it because it's shameful and you don't want to let people know like where your current reality is. But I think we can all say from personal experience that that's where the magic happens. And, Mike and I, and you, Joe, too, you've been contributing a lot to the thoughts around this, but we're building a more exclusive community as well, too, for some of these guys that are showing up in our free community to come into a more committed space. And the one thing that I'm looking at it right now, who you spend time with will determine who you will become. It's so foundational to everything that we're doing here. And that's why I'm grateful for the journey that we've all been on and what we continue to do in the way that we do show up right now. And we're calling in other people. It's like, you're not alone.
Extremely conscious and what it means to be extremely conscious constantly gets redefined for all of us, I know, on our journeys. And as we say, as we go through life and different scenarios. And for me this weekend, I shared with you guys briefly, but something happened that really made me proud of the work that I've done and how I define an extremely conscious man. And we were out ice fishing, and I'll keep it tight, but somebody fell through the ice. And I had a bad feeling about them going to that area prior. And so I really kept my eye on it. But moral of the story is they went under. They were in a very scary time. I was able to get there very fast and pull them out. And here's the point, not to pat myself on the back. The point is that I would not have been able to do that if it weren't for the work we've done over the past few years and what I believe it is to be an extremely conscious man. And, there was presence there. There was a regulated nervous system there. There was somebody who's cold plunged for the past few years. So that scenario didn't throw me, out, but I was able to be calm, collected, pull this man out and help him. And what some people there saying, I saved a life, and it feels weird to say that, but I know if I look at me 5 years ago at that event, at a 70th celebration, I would have been hungover. And that could have been the difference between the action that I took or the lack thereof, the hesitation. And so to me, an extremely conscious man is an individual who wants to be that, who wants to be the person in a room that people are more comfortable when their presence is there because they know they're more capable and they trust them and they have confidence in them. So it really helped me see all the work we've all done. It's not me, it's we as a collective. And that's why just one of the many reasons we've created the spaces we have is to prep men for lives and scenarios and challenges that are going to come at us, to be the best men that we can be, and role models, and create impact anywhere that we can, even when, you know, it's out of nowhere.
It's powerful. And that shook me when I heard that, when you voiced it to us in WhatsApp the other day. And good on you for doing that. And I know it's just, now it's your nature, right? Like, you're prepared for it. And for anything you could be, I know Goggins talks about that, you know, with when he's extreme. I mean, he takes it to the extreme, at least one
Preparing
definition
for
of
life.
It. And yeah, you're preparing for anything, like the call that his mom's dying or whatever. Dead, you know, I think is the reference that he puts out there, and I couldn't agree more. So that's what motivates me here, and I'm happy that we get to share this with those who are paying attention still and are into it. Because if you are, then you obviously see some version of yourself that is an evolved version. You might not know what they look like, but I would leave you with that question or that thought, and maybe you go take a walk, and hopefully maybe you're walking now, even better, and start to think of, what is that person? How can you be that better person? Who does that look like? Who do you look like? And envision yourself a year from now. Shit, even a month from now. And micro actions. I think I heard something, I've been working with some longevity doctors lately. It just takes 6 weeks for you to really calibrate your body with a diet. And same goes with your mind and all these things. So 6 weeks, it's a month and a half. That's not much. So like, challenge yourself, legit. Like, go to extremelyconscious.com, get the guidebook, but even better, join in that group and commit to yourself, because I know these guys and myself, we're going to do some fun challenges. We'll be in there. And that's how you make these changes happen. And literally 6 weeks, it's nothing. It's nothing. It's a sneeze.
Rewire that brain.
Extremelyconscious.com. I'll say it again. Everything will be linked up. These guys, if you want to go deeper in their stories, it is from 6+ months ago. So some of the stuff we mentioned in Extremely Conscious might be a little changed, but either way, these are the gents. I hope you get to chat with them very soon. We'll be back again. And boys, men, it's been fun. I'm happy we did this.
Joe,
Thank you. Thanks for having us. What a great chat.
appreciate you, brother, and everything that you're doing to bring all of this to the world, and how you show up, man. You're a huge part of why we're continuing to do what we're doing, and I'm excited for the future.
Thank you, bro.
100%.
All of us. Same to you guys. And we'll do this again very soon. And please reach out. Anyone who has questions, don't be shy. We're all very accessible. I've done it many times. You know, my email is joe@hustleandflowchart.com. Sometimes slow at getting back, but if you have questions direct to me, these guys, you can find them on the web as well. So we'll be back for another, and let us know what you want to learn more about, what's extreme to you, because that'll fuel these conversations when we have these roundtables again. So, all right, gents, until next time. Thank you.